Welcome back to another episode of Locked In on Security, your go-to podcast for everything security related. Brought to you by Alert Enterprise, the leaders in AI-powered physical identity access management. Welcome everyone to this special episode of Locked In on Security. We're going to dive into everything GSX. A few of our colleagues are joining us today. We're super excited to have them. Mike, Brian, welcome to the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself? Mike, you go first.
Thanks, Willem. So Mike Harris here, VP of Sales, US East, here at Alert Enterprise.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having us on. Brian Rafferty, I cover the Central, Senior Account Executive at Alert Enterprise.
Welcome, gentlemen. And Reta, of course, welcome back as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
So we're going to talk GSX team. What a show. I have so much to cover and I want to get into with you. But in general, I felt this was one of the best GSX shows that we've had in a long, long time. And I think there's a bunch of reasons for it that we'll get into. I know personally, I think this was, I'm going to age myself, but that's okay. I think this was my 20th GSX. Can you believe that? My 20th GSX. So I've been doing this a long time.
You've aged yourself. You've aged yourself.
I know. Kind of crazy to think about that. But it was great to see. And I feel like it was the best we've seen, at least before the pandemic. So really what I want is for you to give the audience a little bit of your point of view about the show. So we'll get into a few of those questions. But let's just start off in terms of your impressions, your point of view, thinking about the attendance, thinking about some of the engagement from the visitors and the attendees. Talk to us a little bit about what you saw at GSX. And I'll start with you, Reta. You are the queen of events in security. And first of all, thank you. You put on an amazing, amazing show. From your perspective, how was GSX? What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, Willem, when you said it was probably one of the better ones since at least COVID. And I think prior to that, and I think everyone really noticed that. I mean, I think it exceeded my expectations personally. And I think as an organization, it did as well. I think the attendance was strong. The people that were there were legitimate buyers, ready to explore different security solutions, which was great. I mean, I think our new booth location also had a lot to do with attendance and, people stopping by our booth who may not have been familiar with us before. So I think in general, it was extremely, extremely positive. And it was just refreshing to have these conversations about security convergence, identity management, people walking by the booth like, oh my gosh, that's what you guys do. This is what you integrate with. So I just think in general, it was tremendous. And we're super excited about the turnout and now all our follow-ups.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do after the show, isn't there? So Mike,
totally. Yeah.
let's talk about that. Your point of view as well. So you cover Northeast, the East Coast of the United States. So it was, close to your territory. You must have seen a lot of your customers and prospects coming down to Orlando, yeah?
Yeah, Willem, it was a great turnout. I think engagement was the biggest standout for me, right? So, when we talk about prospects and customers understanding what we do before they approach the booth, right? So rather than prospects and buyers and security practitioners, with the question of, hey, what do you do? They already knew what we did, right? And they knew how we could help, which was really exciting. PIAM has kind of been coined as something complex within the industry. However, we're seeing the simplistic fashion, and we're seeing that mobile first approach, right? And that's really what stood out to me was the buyer and practitioner engagement around what we do and how we do it, and already knowing how it can help them.
Yeah. How about you, Brian? In the Central, did you see a lot of your prospects and your buyers in Orlando and engaging with you there?
Yeah, 100%. It was a very nice mix, refreshing mix. those that decided to weather the storm, the hurricane.
Literally.
It was a really fantastic turnout, highly engaged, exceeded all expectations by far. It's a fantastic show.
That's great. And so now if we want to kind of dive a little bit deeper, as you were engaged with these customers, these prospects, let's just talk a little bit about what were they asking about? What were some of the problems that they needed to solve? What were the use cases that tended to come up more than once that you really started to understand how to help your prospects and customers? Brian, you want to just continue that?
I'd say that our booth really generated there was a noticeable buzz when it came to just visitor management and how it really ties into visitor mustering and emergency evacuation. Addresses a lot of common challenges that the organizations are facing, whether it's reporting, confirming, communicating, all of these different types of communication channels with visitors during an anomaly disruption. Essentially, the visitor mustering really answers two key questions. How do you communicate with visitors during a critical event, and how do you confirm that they're safe? Incredible buzz. That's my buzzword, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, we had an emergency type situation right after that, obviously for the Northeast, and just want to say our thoughts and prayers definitely go out to all the folks that were affected. We of course have some of our colleagues that are in the path of the hurricane, and so we feel that personally. So emergency mustering is part of that response to be able to keep your visitors safe in a situation like a hurricane or other type of safety situation. So, Mike, how about you? What was the theme of use cases and problems that people needed to solve that you tended to talk about more than often?
Yeah. Thanks, Willem. So I'll just go back to mobile, right? And it doesn't stop at the credential. I think that security practitioners across our industry are looking at ways to adopt some of the other enterprise level functionality that they see from their cross-functional business departments like IT and HR, and that mobile. We live in a mobile centric society. You go to Chili's and you want to scan the menu, the QR code off the table to get the menu, right? When you go to Hilton, you're just automatically provisioned a mobile credential. I don't even look for a plastic card to get into a hotel room anymore. So, I think it extends beyond the mobile credential in that self-service, forward-facing, ease of use, simplistic mentality that has been a challenge in our industry, quite frankly, right? It's very static. Our industry, access control and user adoption is very standard. And I do feel like something as easy as, mobile photo taking for badging or requesting access to another building from your mobile device or booking a visitor on your mobile device. It's becoming more and more of an expectation across the security industry. And I think that drives a lot of motivation and initiatives from the physical security program managers. And it also drives adaptability within the organization.
Yeah, I noticed the same thing, both of you. It seems like there is a shift now happening with the industry and security practitioners coming out.
Is that a shameless plug?
Shift happens. Yeah, stay tuned. We did have a great presentation at the show. We are going to definitely have that available for you. Shift happens, security convergence as a new paradigm. Thank you for the plug. But it's true, though. It's really, really true. It's not just a great tagline, but there was a noticeable shift for me. There was two things happening. There was the experience first requests. Mobile credentials is one. Visitor management is a form of that as well. How can we make it more automated? How can we make it a better experience for those that are coming in and out of our buildings? I definitely saw that theme. I also saw people asking about how they can use data for better insights. So that was a use case that came up for me more than once, where people are saying, yeah, it looks like you have something for security operations centers and you're using data. Can you tell me more about that? And it seems like the security practitioners are like, look, we need a better way of getting through all of this data and doing something that's meaningful as a team and be able to obviously mitigate risk. So I saw that as a huge step forward and, again, a shift in the industry.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's definitely a strong demand for advancements in technology, particularly when it comes to SOC information analytics, transforming data into critical, actionable intelligence. I know you mentioned Shift Happens and the GSX session that we had, and we had Jamshed Patel, our VP of Value Engineering. One of my favorite quotes from that was, every device generates data, whether it's from door readers, cameras, panels, etc. Bringing all that data together to derive insights is absolutely critical.
That's exactly it. We're in a data abundance era, but you have to make sense of it. You got to be able to surface it and do something meaningful for it. And that's what convergence is about. That's what Alert Enterprise is about. So I did see that resonating with folks, and it's exciting to see how that even evolves. So those are things that we saw. What about things that surprised us? Anything that came up in terms of requests, and challenges, and technology that was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. Those are opportunities for our technology or things that we need to look at. Mike, I'll start with you on that.
Yeah, I'll continue on the data, right? So, big data is important. And I feel like there's no middle of AI adoption, right? You're either all in or you're all out. And, obviously we have large language models within our application that are helping organizations sift that data and provide those insights. It's kind of surprising, everybody wants to use AI. Everybody knows, ChatGPT and Copilot and all these other ones. They're using them every day. But when it comes to their security data, it's like, whoa, wait a second, So we have to do a better job educating the community. Yeah.
Brian, your surprises of the show, were you seeing similar things to Mike, other surprises that came up?
Yeah, a lot of similarities. I think what spoke loudest was the variety of unique challenges that comes with being in physical security at whatever level you're at. It really it's enlightening. It's refreshing to kind of hear all of these different challenges and be able to kind of put those all in a compartment and say, look, I get that they're unique, but we can certainly solve for them however different or however similarly they are.
Yeah. For me, the surprise is that people are surprised that we can do so many things with their data, with access control, with visitor. It's still, I guess it gives me goosebumps to know that people come and they're delighted to say, wow, you guys can do all of that? Like, that actually exists? I mean, you can automate all of those processes. You can connect all of those systems. It surprises me that people are still surprised by that. I guess that's still an opportunity. That's all of our jobs at Alert Enterprise, to make sure people know and understand that. But it still surprises me that there's a lot of the industry that is unaware that the way of doing things can evolve, and can evolve right now. This is not future stuff. This is stuff that many companies, many of our customers are doing. And when they hear it, the genuine look of surprise and delight, wow, I can't believe you guys can do all of that. Let's talk more. Did you guys sense that as well?
Oh,
or do you guys
100%.
continue?
Yeah, I think, Willem, to your point, a lot of customers, prospects, practitioners, they think of their problems to be fixed by a point solution, right? It's like, I have this problem, I need to fix it, right? we talked about enterprise level solutions and applications and integration. And one of the things that I'm seeing is, our enterprise customers that are existing ServiceNow customers are really looking forward to our Guardian platform on Now. So the solution not only aligns us as an innovative partner, but it also aligns us with core initiatives across the organization and expands on that self-service function that ServiceNow brings to many enterprises around the world. I do think that physical security is absolutely a part of that platform, that message, that process. And a lot of the ServiceNow customers are really interested in how we're reshaping that for our existing partnership. What I think, after speaking to some of these prospects and practitioners, when we talk about what we do and how we do it, and more importantly, why we do what we do, they start to realize that I have more problems than I knew, and they can be fixed by an enterprise solution, right? So I think those point solutions and those point problems are, the problems aren't going away, but they're being looked at differently by enterprise-wide solutions that can provide far more scalability and flexibility to other challenges that they may be facing as part of, our offering.
And that's really well said. And that's a symptom of our industry, hasn't it? Like we've a lot of the times addressed specific problems just by these almost proprietary systems and solutions that don't really think big picture. And we're an enterprise software solution that I think expands the ability of our security practitioners to solve a lot more problems that are actually connected. So a lot of times these use cases are just symptoms of a bigger issue of potentially automation, of integration, of you name it. And people are realizing that the way that this platform can work for security convergence is much broader than they may have thought as they walked into the booth. So yeah, that is absolutely part of the surprise, and I think the delight for a lot of people that get to know our solution. Looking at trends, end of the year into 2025, what do you think is going to be the big theme for your customers in your territory as you look forward from a use case, a technology perspective? Where's this thing going, Brian?
I think overall there's an increased focus in deeply integrated converged physical and cybersecurity solutions, especially as organizations start to prioritize risk management and unifying and simplifying and automating all of the security processes that they practice today. That's probably where I would put it.
Totally agree. I mean, I think that too. I think security convergence is going to be a huge driving force in 2025. Obviously, with all the buzzwords we use, such as AI and whatnot, but I expect to see a more emphasis on compliance, automation, and data-driven risk assessment. So I totally agree with you, Brian, from that perspective.
So yeah, I think it's along the same lines, right? I think, a lot of what I'm hearing from our customers and practitioners is looking for a enterprise level platform that's innovative, right? They want innovative partners. It goes back to point solutions, right? It starts to stem into convergence where, our customers and prospects are looking at us as an innovative enterprise level software solution. And point solutions are, like I said before, moving away. And it's really important to our customers that we have that innovative roadmap, that we're in line with some of their other business units, whether that's InfoSec, CISO, HR, IT, that whole converged model, that they're looking and they're validating that our roadmap aligns with their core business initiatives enterprise-wide. So physical security is becoming more of that business enablement tool to allow organizations to pull that into a converged model that is an enterprise-wide adopted program rather than just a cost center. It's no longer just guards, gates, and guns, right? It's much bigger than that. And I see practitioners really looking towards that in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, I would agree. I see the conversation happening both at GSX. I sat in a really excellent session by Tara Govang, who was in our first episode, where she was just talking about the security practitioner and change management and the business of security. And even today, I was reading and commenting on a LinkedIn post where a CSO was talking about how security practitioners and departments, they need to start aligning themselves with the business in terms of the business vision, the business goals, and many of the things you just said, Mike, where it's no longer just a cost center. It's not just about guards and gates and guns, et cetera, but it's about how do you provide value to the business? And because technology like Alert Enterprise is out there, there's an opportunity for advancement in better budgets for security, physical security, alignment with our security partners in IT, cyber, as well as other departments. And it affects the bottom line of the organization, which of course helps everyone succeed. I think there's some level of urgency to that now that I haven't seen in the past. And I think 2025 is really going to ramp that up for sure. And for those that weren't able to come to the show for various reasons, we will be providing more information in terms of how you can learn and get a demo of some of the things that you heard about today, as well as things that are upcoming. So stay tuned for that. But also you can reach out to any of us. So Mike Harris, Brian, myself, Reta, we're all on LinkedIn. Message us if you want more information or you want to have a deeper conversation. Please engage. And our team is ready to serve and ready to support you. And stay tuned for more info and more opportunity to learn about these types of solutions that can support your organization to be safe as well as to enable your business. So with that, thanks team. Great conversation.
Thank you.
Back to follow up, back to work.
Yeah.
And
go get those orders, guys.
yeah, and we'll see you on the next episode of Locked In on Security. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Willem.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Share this episode with your network and engage with us in the comments below. We'll catch you on the next episode.